All right, welcome back to the channel. So, gonna do this video about Adrien Broner. This is a video we've done before because we've been here before. Adrien Broner has been put in jail for violating his probation, I do believe. And many people are gonna ask the question, believe, which is reasonable, is this a publicity stunt to get his name in the paper, or is this just, really and truly who Adrien Broner is? Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Adrien Broner gets put in jail for a week because he failed to follow orders from the court. Whether it was to show up for a deposition or to pay the amount of money that he said that he was supposed to pay when he agreed to a fee to pay a woman who he kissed without her permission in a nightclub, right? I don't know exactly what it is that he didn't do other than show up to the deposition, right? And I think he might have been some issue with the money. Regardless, they're court orders that he's supposed to follow. He didn't follow them. So they said, you got to sit in jail for 7 days. And look, Adrien, if you do this again, we're going to have to consider more sanctions. So if you do it one time, a week. If you don't do what I'm asking you to do again, then, man, who knows what you're looking at, man? Who knows what you're looking at? This is something related to kissing a woman without permission, man. That shit can land you some time. But Adrien Broner doesn't show up. So in the conversations we're having about Adrien Broner, people will say the usual, and these are not unreasonable. These are not unreasonable statements. Say, is this Adrien Broner trying to get hype for himself for the comeback that he's going to have to try to set up fights and all that stuff? Is it a way to keep up his name in the paper? Adrien Broner is a marketing genius, all of that stuff, right? And I did like this because it kind of tells you what I think about it, right? I just think I don't buy that. I think Adrien Broner is just immature. I think he's immature. I think he's got a problem with authority, period. And he's one of these guys that if you ask him to do something, he's going to say, like, if you try to act like you can make him do something, he is going to rebel against it, and he is not going to do it because he would rather win the battle of him versus you, and whatever punishment he is willing that he gets as a result of him not doing what you want him to do, he is willing to do just as long as you do not feel like you can tell him what to do. That is the technique. That is the problem that you see with 11 and 12-year-old boys. Period. Now, when I say as behaving like a kid, understand what maturity is. At least this is my viewpoint on it, right? There's different ways that you can mature. You can mature physically, right? So at age, say 22, you are physically mature. You are as tall as you're going to get, most people. You are as strong as you're going to, you're physically developed, unless as far as what you're going to grow just naturally, right? Now you can get stronger lifting weights and all that stuff, but you are pretty much physically where you're going to be with nature's help around 22 years old. You are physically mature, right? But that doesn't mean that you are mentally mature. The same things that your body has to go through in order to become physically mature, right? That growth process, people have to go through mentally to become mentally mature people, right? So but the mental maturity comes from what you do every day, the experiences you have, your willingness to learn from mistakes or of your own mistakes, or your willingness and ability to learn from the mistakes of others, take advice from other people, right? And just live your life. And over time, there's 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 30 to 31 days in a month, right? And every day these experiences are piling up and you're maturing. But some people's mental maturity is just, it is retarded. And I don't mean like retarded like is in the pejorative sense with people that have, like mental who have cognitive limitations. I mean retarded as in stopped, as in it's not moving forward anymore, right? You're not progressing. And I think what happens sometimes with people that make a lot of money is that they think that now that they are physically mature and that they have their own financial wherewithal, because we're taught, right, that your goal in life is to make as much money as you can. And once you make a bunch of money, then you are mature. You have made it. But if you are not mentally mature, what happens to that money most times? It'll happen what you expect would happen when you give somebody access to great money that has the mental maturity of a 14-year-old. They're going to do what a 14-year-old will do. They're going to run out and spend every dime trying to impress people. And you know what I mean? And pretty soon, all that money is going to be gone, right? That's something different than somebody, say, that gets a bunch of money in their 55. And they're like, oh, shit, I just wound up with $10 million. This shit got to last me the rest of my life because I have just lived 55. I know what it's like to live without it, right? Now, Adrien Broner, what I see with him is just classic, just mental immaturity, right? And issues with authority. So until he gets over his issue with authority and treats authority with respect, he's going to continue to go through these problems, dog. And eventually it's going to, it may, unless he catches it, it can eventually really lead to something, disabling for him. Because somebody in authority will go out of their way to do it. Now, what is the realization that Adrien Broner needs to come to as a young man? Respect people. Okay, you don't have to like the judge. You don't have to like the prosecution. You don't have to like the woman that's accusing you of this, and you can feel that you're hard done by and all of that, right? But that doesn't excuse Adrien Broner being disrespectful to people on their job. Adrien Broner might not realize or think that you are going to somebody else's job. Adrien Broner would never show up late for a boxing match. I believe he's had over 30 fights in his career, and I have never seen him miss a fight. I have never seen him miss a weigh-in. I've never seen him show up late to a fight. Nobody's sitting out when it's time for the fight day wondering, where is Adrien Broner at? No, why is Adrien Broner there? Because that's how Adrien Broner gets paid. So imagine from the standpoint of the judge or the people in the court or the clerks and all the other people in there who have a job, who get paid for doing what they're doing. And they have many jobs to do, and you're just one, and you're going into their place of work, and you disrespect them in their place of work. Guess what? They're the star in that court, not you. You are a civilian, and that is it. Walking in there, unless they choose to give you some special treatment because of who you are. But they are not your fans. They are not your supporters. They are not somebody that's jocking you, hanging on you, right? So that they can get girls or they can hang out the club and be famous. That's not what they're doing. They have careers that they are trying to progress to higher levels. So if you go in there and attempt to embarrass somebody on their job by in their face in front of all their coworkers, showing them that you don't respect them, do not be surprised at what you get. And that has nothing to do with whether or not Adrien Broner did what he was accused of doing. Nothing. He could be dead innocent. The chick could be completely lying, and it wouldn't matter because that judge, that's still his job. You might think that he is racist. You might think that, the system's out to get you and all of this stuff. However, what he is for sure is a man that gets up in the morning, puts on his suit and tie or whatever he has to do, shows up to work on time, and expects everybody else that he is working with or she is working with to be there on time too. And if you refuse to be on time, if you refuse to work with them, do not expect anything else than their resent, that they will resent you, because the judge didn't accuse you. The prosecution is accusing you, but only because the lady accused you. So if you have an issue with the lady, you can have an issue with the lady, but dude, once it gets into that situation, dog, treat everybody else with respect. And that is the issue with Adrien Broner, and it's going to continue. It's not that he is some marketing genius and all this. No, he's just a rich kid, right? He's in a grown man's body with a grown man's bank account, but a child's sense of responsibility as it relates to respecting other people's time. Now, I might have sounded like a daddy in this video, but that's what it is. I'm not going to joan on him, call him this, call him that, because there's a lot of people that have gone through these same problems, that do these same things every day on a much lower level. He is not somebody that is a moral degenerate, I do not believe. He is not somebody that deserves to be in jail. He's not showing terribly reckless behavior. If other than that nonsense that he did, that he's accused of, that's reckless and disrespectful if he did it, right? But regardless of all of that, being contemptful of people when they're on their job, nah, man. Sometimes there's things worse than the crime. Adding insult to injury on yourself is just silly. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think, and with that, I'm out. Peace.